Okay, I think you all know that Bob and I took a 2-week trip on Route 66 together. Just imagine being in the car with your significant other for 2 weeks. So we had good times and interesting times.
Very.
Yep. And it took a few days for us to get in the groove of understanding what each one of us was expecting out of this trip. There were a couple times that I almost said, I am done, take me to the nearest airport, I'm flying.
No, you didn't.
But I didn't do
You
it.
said, get out, find your way home.
Same deal. So we're going to talk about our trip. We're going to do it as quickly as we can so that we don't have a lot of people late back to work. So.
All right, here you go, Dave.
All right.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Oh, yeah.
So we had a very explosive trip on Route 66. You know what? One thing that we learned as we were going along talking to people is that there were quite a few people traveling this route alone because they had always planned to do the trip with some significant other, and that significant other passed away. And so there were a lot of people that were driving it by themselves. And
We'll explain this
the explosion
meteor thing.
later.
Yeah, later.
Keep rolling, Bobby.
Okay, keep it rolling.
All right, so
Okay, so this video, we put the songs in for Johnny Cash's We've Been Everywhere, Man. I think we did 65 takes before we got it right. Then we had to do it twice, so that was another 70 or 80 takes. So my whole phone was full of these videos. But this one's pretty good, I hope. I've been everywhere, man. Leave them out, amen. I've been everywhere. I've been to Joliet, Chicago, Wilmington, New White. While I was living in April, Sullivan. 2 miles up and after Tulsa. I've been everywhere, man. Reach the mountain, amen. I've been everywhere.
all right. This is just the first half. That was the first half.
Yeah.
Yep, so I talked about people that did the trip by themselves, and the reason I had this on my bucket list was because my dad had talked about doing Route 66 all my life as I was growing up, and he never did it. He and my mother never did it, and my dad died of cancer before they did it. So this was on my bucket list, and this sign right here, it's a picture that my dad always had hanging somewhere in the house. So that's why we did this, and we're going to walk through it with you.
Here we go.
So we started in Chicago. We started in Sioux Falls and actually flew to Chicago. And we spent a couple days in Chicago before we got going. So we went to a baseball game. We went to the White Sox and the Chicago Cubs. We saw it in the White Sox stadium. And what we learned was that those two teams hate each other.
And the fans.
Oh,
also.
the fans are really rowdy, really rowdy.
Somebody came up and sat by us. He says, I think there's going to be a rumble up here, so I'm going to sit up here. And then somebody kicked him out of that seat. It was wild.
And then in the middle of it, someone, a fan, jumped over the edge onto the field and was running, and all the security guards were chasing him around the field.
And they were older and couldn't catch him.
The security guards were like retired policemen or
So
whatever.
they had to circle him in and dive at him and catch
And
him.
all the crowd was cheering on the guy that was running around.
Yeah. And then another guy jumps over and hurts his leg. He can't even walk. He's laying there in pain, and they had to get a stretcher and get him out.
So it's like, okay, we're not in Kansas anymore.
No.
Toto. So while we were in Chicago, we also went to the Willis Tower, and that used to be the Sears, called the Sears Tower, and they have the ledge. Some of you have seen that you can go out on, and we had to, of course, go and take pictures there. Then we got in the car and started driving, and our first real stop was Joliet, Illinois. And what we found out was there's a lot of towns that are on Route 66. The towns really embrace the fact that they're on Route 66. They did up their rest areas and things and put lots of opportunities for pictures. So,
yeah, like you were saying before, this was the main drag all the way to Santa Monica, and they wanted people to stop at their places because there was a lot of travel.
When Route 66 was first built, there were no interstates or anything, so it was the main thoroughfare to get from Chicago to Santa Monica. This picture here, those bricks are from the original Route 66, so this was a gas station that was all set up with memorabilia. And you can see here we're still in Joliet, but we discovered that the Blues Brothers movie was filmed in this area, so there were lots of Blues Brothers around. And this was like a Zesto type thing with the Blues Brothers on top. We're still in Joliet. There's the gas station that had the bricks.
And they love putting vehicles up on top of their buildings.
Yeah, lots of vehicle-related things all the way along the whole trip. Next, we're in Wilmington, Illinois. Lots of businesses built Route 66 into their signs. The city park had this sign on it that showed mileage, and we learned at that point that we only had 2,228 more miles to go. That's like, can we do this?
Can we get this done in 20 minutes?
So then we went on to Dwight, Illinois. Lots of places for people to take pictures, Texaco stations, and lots of memorabilia. This is another gas station in Dwight, and I love the gas pumps. Lots of old historic gas pumps that they've renovated. In Dwight, this was their rest stop. More picture opportunities. Next, we went to Odell, Illinois, and I love this gas pump. This was a really old one, so I really was fascinated with all of that.
Is that still functioning?
Well, it's in a nickel a gallon. I tried to fill up, it wouldn't work.
Yeah, he thought it would work too.
No, just kidding.
Yeah, so one thing that we discovered was a lot of the little towns took these gas stations and they restored them, and then they turned them into their city visitor center or museum. So they were trying to do the best to capitalize on the fact that even though they're a little town, they're still on Route 66.
And Phillips 66 was derived from the highway Route 66.
That's when it was started, yeah.
You'll see lots of Phillips 66.
And now we moved on to Normal, Illinois, and the same things, a drive-by in Normal. Then we went to Atlanta, Illinois. Another thing that we found out was that a lot of the towns had big things, big people, big animals, big statues. And what that all relates to is back in the day, there was no, actually TV, and then there was no internet and all of that. So when you're driving Route 66, these businesses would do these big things to get you to come in, notice their business, come in and stop there. So
they called them giants.
Yep, Land of the Giants. And so we started to find those and seek them out and take pictures of them.
Alfred E. Newman. On the right, Alfred E. Newman.
We're still in Atlanta here, and this is a Texaco area. We have the Texaco man, and you can see how big and giant he is.
22 cents a gallon there.
Still in Atlanta, and I'm across the street now from the Texaco man. And in this gas station, they had lots of heads of these giants because they would make the parts to the giants here and ship them out. So they have like a museum of all these body parts of the giants.
Oh, and I was going to show you one. Okay, never. It's coming up yet.
Okay, next we went to Springfield, Illinois, capital, home of Abe Lincoln, and the Abe Lincoln Museum. So we did go through that. We took time to do that because I had never done it and we wanted to. And I joined the Lincoln family while we did it. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And then across the street from the Lincoln Museum is a park that has the big statue. And then lots of Blues Brothers stuff yet. So you'd see replicas of the vehicles that were the Blues Brothers
We'd like to stick them up on poles.
Lots of them up in the air so you can see them. We went on to Mount Olive, and a lot of the towns have put the historic Route 66 emblem on their road as you're going through the town, so you know that you're still on the real Route 66. We found Livingston, Illinois, and there were lots of giant things, and they had a park area that had big pink elephant. It had an awesome diner that was very much restored, and inside that there was a big trunk. There was a big Marilyn Monroe, and there was
all kinds of
Blues Brothers, and Bob found the Chipmunks.
I found the chipmunk.
We went on to St. Louis, Missouri, and here was I said at the beginning we spent 2 days in Chicago. This is the next time we decided to spend 2 days. So it's a good thing to do, I think. We did a 2-week trip of Route 66, and we had several stops where we did 2 days just to get out of the car, rest, regroup.
In Chicago on this one so far.
Yeah, St. Louis, we've made it to the top of the archway. And the arch is a national park. So you have to go through all the things that are involved with national parks there. Then we're in Missouri. We moved on to Sullivan, Missouri, and the Merrimack Caverns. Very awesome cavern
Beautiful,
system.
colorful.
And so we took a tour there, and I happen to love caverns. On the right, this was in a room where you could sit on benches, and then they did a slideshow.
The video was spectacular.
Yeah, so that was fun.
And it
Beautiful
ended
kids.
with that Bible verse, which was kind of cool.
More of the Sullivan, Illinois. So now we're in Cuba, Missouri, and we found what used to be the world's largest rocking chair. And we have learned that now there's a bigger rocking chair somewhere. So this isn't any longer the world's biggest, but I thought it was cool.
It was very cool.
Yeah.
We didn't get up on top of it.
Yep, and we're still in Cuba. Found another diner called Shelley's, and it had memorabilia in it. We're always looking for diners because people have bought them and tried to keep them true to the way the diners were in the day.
They have great food in those diners.
They do, home cooked food. Now we're in Uranus. And so,
we made a Uranus out of
yeah,
it.
that was a great photo opportunity of animals. And I had to, of course, take a picture in Uranus. And then they also had a big fudge factory there. Uranus Fudge Factory.
Yeah.
Uranus also had the world's biggest belt buckle, and it still is the world's biggest belt buckle.
They say
So,
it.
yes.
And over on the right side, you see that's some of the route we're going to be continuing on to there.
Now we're in another Springfield, but we're in a different state. So Springfield, Missouri, and they had an awesome car museum. So we did end up spending a couple hours there. And I mean, we were looking they had all these vehicles, and they had them, you could see the sign for what year they were made and all that. So we were looking for our birthday year vehicles. And Laurie only could find the 59 vehicle in the models because there wasn't a big one of my year. But of course, Bob Gill found several 1954 vehicles on the floor, so I
And there
took
was
pictures
Rolls
of them.
Royce, Porsche, anything you could imagine, old news was in
They
there.
had Batmobile, Blues Brothers, Ghostbusters, race cars, every year you can imagine from
Redneck
the
pickup.
first year the vehicles came out. It was awesome. Okay, so here's a priceless thing that happened. As we were doing Route 66, we took a lot of pictures, but posted once a day. At the end of each day, we would post. And we had quite a few people that were watching this as we were going along. All of a sudden, we got a message from Bob's cousin.
Cousin Jackie, Jockey.
Yeah, Jockey, and
I don't
she
even know her
lives.
name.
She lives in Missouri. She said, "Hey, you guys are going through our state. We would come and meet you for dinner."
Haven't seen her for 40 plus years.
Yeah. At the same time, Bob is friends with Greg Monroe. He's on the right there. He used to live in Pierre, and he was a realtor.
She was coming down to go to Cabela's in.
Yep, he lives in the same area. He said, "Hey, I see you're coming through here. Can we get together for dinner?" So we said, "Hey, we're going to be there one night. So you can all come and we can all eat." So
Jockey's
there we
type of
are.
the person says the more the merrier, so that's my cousin Jockey.
So,
And about 3 weeks later,
When Jackie went home, she and her husband were so excited that they had heard about our trip and everything. They went home and they designed a quilt and they made it and they sent it to us. And so this is the,
they're professional quilters.
yeah, they went home and made this. It's our whole Oh, Route 66.
That's awesome.
Laurie, move over a little bit so you're in the camera. There you go.
Now kind of dance.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, so anyway, that was a surprise.
Now, what's the chance of that happening after?
Yeah.
And it's all random. So then,
We're on to Carthage, Missouri, which has a big Route 66 drive-in theater, more vehicles that are up in the air. And I get a message from my cousin who lives near Carthage. Out of the clear blue, this is all just coincidence, and she said, hey, you are going to go by our house. Can we get together? So we stopped, and I was able to meet up with my cousin, and we haven't seen each other in 30 years. But they saw this on Facebook and saw that we were going by there. So we both got to connect with our cousins, and those are the kinds of things that were like, wow.
that's like, what's the chance of that happening?
So before we left my cousin's house, she said, have you been to this 3-state corner area? And I said, I've only heard of the 4 corners. I haven't heard of the 3 corners. She said, yeah, there's a place close here. You need to go find it before you leave. So we went and found it, and this is it. We had to go down some back roads to find this place. But when you're standing there, you're in Kansas, Missouri, and Oklahoma at the same time. So we had to go stand.
And just
there.
like you, Dave Bondi, I had trouble standing like that. I said, take it, Corey!
That's very good, Bob.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay, so on to Afton, Oklahoma, more memorabilia, and I found my happy place.
Happy place,
there.
right up there it says,
Yeah,
Our
and my
happy
happy
place.
place.
had all kinds of stuff. We met a couple that was on the route too, and they were headed the other directions, and we changed memories. They said, look, yes, that way, and we said that way, and it was really cool. So.
Okay, now on to Tulsa. A lot of big giants in Tulsa. And so we found Buck Adam and Stella Adam. And the Golden Driller, that is a salute to the petroleum workers from way back. And we also found a miniature golf course that was a Route 66 golf course. So every hole highlighted one of the major stops in towns, and we had to play miniature golf.
Yeah, so they were designed after each city. It was really very cool.
And now we're in
Who won that
Catoosa,
one? Laurie.
Oklahoma.
Sorry, who won that match?
I think I did.
Yeah, I think she did.
Catoosa is the home of the blue whale as seen on American Pickers.
Anybody ever see that episode of American Pickers where they bought something in California and they hit the blue whale at wherever that was?
Catoosa, Oklahoma. Yep, so we had to stop there.
Yeah, Laurie wasn't real excited about that one.
But it was on American Pickers, so.
And we got slushies, so that was special.
All right, Bristow, Oklahoma, and more different car museums and things. But while we were there, lots of bikers around, and we soon found out that they were having a huge adult bike rally. We didn't take the time to go off and find out what adult bike rallies mean.
There was something they said, bring everything except clothes.
Yeah, I wasn't.
No, that's a joke.
I wasn't about to go find out.
No, we didn't get near that bike rally.
Chandler, Oklahoma, lots more memorabilia. We found a bowling alley that was full of gas station signs, the whole parking lot.
There's probably 35 signs, and there are all these shamrock, you ever hear of that? And there's signs that, it's incredible. So, okay.
Now for part 2.
We hope. Not quite.
Travel, I've had my share, and I've been everywhere.
I've been to Arcadia, Ridge, and Montgomery.
Ain't been to Gary Santos, a Hofer.
Winslow, Flagstaff, Benton, Santa
Hereford, Kingman, Barstow, Santa Monica.
Blue Go, Cherry Street, Blue Go.
Blue like for Pete's sakes. I've been everywhere, and I've been everywhere. Across the deserts, bare
I
land.
breathe the mountain air.
Travel, I've had my share, and I've been everywhere. I've been everywhere. Now we're going to start part 2.
Part 2, and now we'll go back and forth if I forget what's happening here. This was really incredible though. This place is out in the middle of nowhere, but it's marked on our app, so we we say, this is where Paul McCartney came up and there was somebody on the road and he stopped them and he said, I'm lost, I don't know where I am at. Paul McCartney was doing Route 66, he said, I don't know where I'm at. And so this is where they met that person and they developed this sign. They still live there and they have documentation that Paul actually asked them where he was.
So we found out, I have a book, The Easy Guide to Route 66. It has every single thing you could possibly know and see, and it's up to date. I have the current version, and we also kind of melded that with some apps so that we were sure we were knowing all the options. That's how we found things like this.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
incredible.
Wow.
And the Pops, it's called the Pops gas station. Every wall was bottles like this, and they had every different type of soda you could possibly imagine. And they're all sitting in the windows like that. We thought that was very, very cool. Ball of water, wall of water. And then we came to Eric. Eric, we wanted to get through Eric and get to our motel because it was getting late afternoon. I said, well, 5 minutes. Thing about Eric, it's Roger Miller. What songs from Roger Miller do you guys know?
King of the Road.
King of the Road. Another one?
Trailer for sale or rent?
Yes.
Or is that?
And- Yes.
There you go.
You can't roller, now you're on my way. You can't roller skate in a buffalo herd. So we come in here and there's this guy that's on the other side of the street, and I come into his place and he's sitting there and I look through the window and he's just looking at me, and I come in and I said, do you mind if he had stuff everywhere, guitars, memorabilia, everything. I said, do you mind if I videotape? This is absolutely incredible. He said, you can videotape it, but you're not taking anything out of here. I said, okay, sure. So anyway, then what'd he say?
Yeah, flip to the next
Okay.
slide. So as we were looking around the
There he
room,
is.
there were guitars everywhere, and I said to him, do you play the guitar? And he said, a little bit.
A little bit.
And then he said, do you guys perform? And we said, a little bit. And he said, he just
You're
got
gonna
up,
play for me.
He put a stool down, he got the guitar down, he handed it to Bob.
He
Play
gave me a
something.
Martin guitar, the same exact one I have. So it's weird.
And the only song that we could do on the fly like that was one we had just done in church. And it's I Can Only Imagine.
Oh, yeah.
So we did I Can Only Imagine for him, and he sat right next to me.
Yeah. He
While-
liked Laurie.
Yeah, he did. And while we were singing it, and at the end, he said, "This isn't my normal kind of
And he
music."
kind of cheered up.
Yeah, but he said that was great. And
That
then I
was
said,
wonderful.
"Now it's your turn."
He said,
So
well,
he goes, "Oh, I don't realize." Yeah.
It's
We
like-
said, "Nope, we did it. You're doing it."
who's that one actor that says, well, I don't know, and then he puts everything together, and he's got
So-
amplifiers and all kinds of stuff.
Yep, so-
He plugs it in.
Here's what we heard once he said, "Go."
I don't want to let you.
And he'd shake this at Laurie.
I was holding the camera.
Oh, is he good or what?
So after that, we left and we Googled him and found out he's Harley Russell. He's been written up in many, many articles, and he's considered Route 66 most famous hillbilly hoarder. And he is
Not for
popular.
sale. And music people come through, the professional music people, and actually come and see him and jam with him. So he's quite an individual. So instead of 5 minutes, 45 minutes, and we were wondering if we're gonna end up in the backyard, dig a hole in that.
It was okay. We were the only ones there.
Yeah.
Okay, on to Shamrock, Texas.
This is the place where the Cars movie, they took, not actually filmed there, but they took designs of the gas station and the Cars vehicles.
I've been there many times.
I've been there many times as well.
Have you?
Yeah.
Awesome.
And Amarillo, Texas is next.
We ate at a great steakhouse. In Texas, you have to eat steaks. So we had steaks. Amarillo is amazing. They have, out in the country, about a mile out of town, they have all these Cadillacs stuck in the ground. There's like 10 or 12 Cadillacs. And that, you go out into a grain field, and it's in the middle of a grain field, so you walk and try not to step on the oats and stuff. And this is out in the middle of the
It's
grain
called-
field. You can see the grain over here.
It's called Cadillac Ranch.
Cadillac Ranch.
And the big thing about it is everybody is supposed to bring a can of spray paint and spray paint your own, whatever you want on it. So it's just layers and layers of spray paint on the Cadillac.
That's pretty cool.
We thought so. Anyway, Amarillo was, by morning, it was great. Then, the Second Amendment cowboy, another, this could probably be Christy Nolan's place. She loves the Second Amendment, freedom of bear a firearm. Anyway, you see these two firearms right here. They open up and they have potlucks and they throw meat on these
It's
grills.
grills.
They're
It's a
grills.
grill.
They open
It's
them
a
up and they
grill.
turn into grills. So then you notice all these Cadillacs. So Laurie got pretty excited here. She saw Elvis in one of the Cadillacs. Then realized it really wasn't him. So. And there's Elvis, Willie, there's 4 of them, but these were the 2 main ones. And we got to the midpoint.
Adrian, Texas. So it wasn't midpoint in days, but it's midpoint mile-wise. So this is halfway through, and the line in the middle of the road is halfway, and I went right to the middle of the line, and so we were halfway through.
Yes. The Blue Swallow is a famous motel that
Yep, the Blue Swallow Motel was a big famous motel that everybody stayed at back in the day, and they've really kept it restored, so wanted to make sure we were there. It's 1 level, and all the garages, the doors are up and they have displays in every one of the garage doors as you walk around.
Then the blue hole really caught my attention. Can you imagine a hole that's the diameter is only 60 feet, but it is, if I look at this, 81 feet deep, and the overflow out of it per minute is 3,000 gallons. The water temperature is 61 degrees. I said, Laurie, should we, and everybody's jumping in off of a diving board. And I had a video of that, but I had so many videos I couldn't find it. But I said, Laurie, you want to do this? She said, no. I said, good.
And we found the Continental Divide, had to take a picture.
Yes, that's the Continental Divide.
Holbrook, Arizona, more vehicles that were in the theme of cars.
Yes, this is the design of the pickup.
And this right here, we were driving by this, it's the Wigwam Motel. Every wigwam is a room, and it's still in use. They've kept it alive. So you have the cars parked beside the wigwams, and you can stay in your own wigwam.
And you can either stay in a wigwam, or they got a building in the back where you can stay in the motel, or you can stay in a wigwam. So that was kind of amazing.
Okay, Winslow,
Oh.
Arizona. I am an
Lori's
Eagles
bucket
fan.
list.
I am an Eagles fan. I've seen the Eagles with the Tinkers, and then we
saw
went
them in
and
the
saw them in
Sphere.
the Sphere. We love the Eagles.
That would make
So,
a great presentation.
I was waiting for Winslow, Arizona here, and if you've never been there, got to go stand on the corner in Winslow, Arizona. And there's 2 statues. One is Jackson Brown because he wrote the song, Taking It Easy, and then Glenn Fry. So,
Standing on the corner in Winslow, Arizona.
yeah, that was a biggie for me.
Yes. And of course, we got home and I said, Laurie, we have to do your song because this is your bucket list. So, Laurie.
Yeah.
Where were we today,
Good question. Well, I'm standing on the corner in Winslow, Arizona. Such a fine sight to see. This box girl's lonely in a 584. Coming close to take a look at me. Come on, baby. Don't say baby. I got to know if your sweet love is gonna save me. We may lose and we may win, but we'll never be here again. Pucker up, I'm moving in, so take it easy.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, thank you.
Then we moved on to the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, we got sidetracked to the Grand Canyon. We kind of blew a lot of time, just going up there and back. But we've never seen it together. We've seen it separately, but never together. So that was amazing.
Okay, the beginning of this, you saw a big meteor and an explosion.
Boom.
Out in the middle of Arizona, by Flagstaff, there is a big crater that a meteor actually hit. And they have created a big science museum there and
It's like a high
visitor
school. It's
center.
huge. Yeah.
So I love this kind of stuff, and we spent a few hours there going through everything. But that crater, the bottom of it, it's big enough to hold 20 football fields. So that's how big it is, and it's just, it was built like a billion years ago or whatever. It's a long time ago that this thing hit.
There's an asteroid also that hit in Russia, and it was in 2008. And it hit, and they had 3 different people videotape it. They put the 3 ones, and I didn't put that in here because it take too long. But when it hit, like 2 minutes later, everybody's glass in town shattered. It went poof, and they had one right in front of me that went poof, and I was like, scared the crap out of me. Then on to Thunder Road, we're in Kingman, Arizona, and they had kind of a redneck bar, and I didn't see anybody, so I slid in there and got pictures, kind of worried about my life there, but then Barstow was interesting. I said, Laurie, we went by this with every state, and they had a deal about every state. I said, let's go back and do that. She said, okay. So she went around again, and I got a picture of every one of them and put it in collage. But that was a cement walkway thing all the way. And then Laurie always gets her picture with people from the town.
And then
Finally.
Santa Monica, this is the end. We did spend a couple days in Santa Monica, and those of you that have been to Santa Monica Pier, it goes out into the water. It has amusement park. You can see it that on the right, but right in the middle of the pier is the end of Route 66. So people are standing in line waiting to take their picture there, those that had made the trek. Showing you where we stayed right on the beach. So that was a fun way to end it. Get out of the car, relax before we went to LAX and flew back.
And we had lots of prayers to say of Thanksgiving when we got that far, because it was amazing. So, and that's it.
That's it. We made it. Question.
What kind of car did you drive on this route? I didn't see.
We rented.
Yes.
Rented a Jeep Cherokee.
Here, I'll see if I can get it up here.
And what we have learned is a lot of the car rental places have packages for renting one way on Route 66. So they have deals for you, and we had a very nice vehicle.
It was this white Jeep, and it was a lemon, man. You'd step on it and go, beep, and you wouldn't go anywhere. But it got great mileage.
And the air conditioning worked.
How many total towns did you see, and how many total miles?
Well, sing the song and you'll know. we drove the 2,248 plus because we were driving around and up the Grand Canyon, but I think the first group of songs, I've got it on my cell phone.
Okay, the one thing I'll tell you in answer to that is that as I was researching this, and that part of this is in the book, they said you can do Route 66 in 1 week, in 2 weeks, in a month, whatever fits your schedule, but they recommend 2 weeks because most people can't stand it being in the car longer than 2 weeks. And I would agree to that. By the end of 2 weeks, we were done being in the car.
So if you want to count,
We counted them the other night, it was 44.
44, I think,
Yeah.
that we stopped in.
Yeah.
And there was a few that I didn't get in there because I ran out of room.
I think that a month would have been, I guess if you don't have anything else to do.
It got boring though.
But I was done seeing these gas stations and all that.
And driving Interstate 40 is a lot more pleasant. The highway is okay, but you're
2
going
weeks was perfect.
65. Some places you're going 55.
And you were meeting traffic, it wasn't that everything was one way.
Yeah,
Sometimes,
Route 66 was all.
and sometimes we were on interstate because there was no original Route 66, so we were as close as we could get.
Yeah. So anyway,
Any other questions?
Did you book your rooms ahead of time?
Yes.
she
That's
is
the one thing
amazing.
I did. It's like
The whole trip was
because
fun.
we had an airline ticket waiting for us at the end, so I needed to know that we were going to be moving along. Everything else was up for grabs, but I had the hotel reservations made.
There was one place I said, we gotta stay there more than one day. Oh, Santa Monica, I said, we're not flying out, just get to Santa Monica and book it. So she had to change a few things.
I had to go back and
Very,
change about
very
half the
understanding,
trip.
weren't you?
Yeah.
I didn't know that the pier was the end of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Chicago, downtown Chicago, there's this another sign. So you can go either way. There were people that started in LA and went to Chicago, and we were going the other way. So both ends have a sign.
So the pier is, I know I've been on the pier,
Mhm.
and there wasn't so long. We took my sister that was a breast cancer survivor. She'd never seen the ocean.
Yeah.
Went with my sister in Vegas, and we got there, and there wasn't anybody on the pier except for two girls. And we walked up to them, we asked them if they would take a picture, and we said, where are you from? And they were from Sioux Falls.
Oh.
The only ones on the pier. But I didn't know that was the history of that. Yeah.
And there were thousands of people out there when we were there.
Yeah.
It's
But we
really
were there in
popular.
August.
Yeah, bacon wrapped hot dogs.
Yeah, lots of hot dogs. So.
Missed that one.
Any other